How's it going, everyone? We're here. Welcome to Heliopolis Radio. Today, we've been fortunate to be joined by Richard Tierney. He's the founder of Trauma Recovery Anonymous. He's here to share more about what it is and what it's about, and how they can help people in terms of recovering from PTSD with a 12-step program or method. Without further ado, I hand it over to you, Richard. Tell us about yourself,
Okay.
where you're from, and what is it that you love to do?
Well, before I start that, we're not treating PTSD because PTSD can't be healed. PTSD is a state of mind, so that can't be actually healed. But the idea is that we treat the memory that caused the PTSD, because we know whoever suffered with trauma knows exactly what happened back then. So if we can treat the memory and get rid of it, then there's no reason to have the PTSD. It's like cause and effect. If you remove the cause, the effect can be let go of. But if we keep treating the effect only, which is the PTSD or the depression or some other disorder, and we don't focus on the cause, we get nowhere.
No, thank you. Thank you for clarifying that.
Yeah, I just want to clarify that first. So I'm Richard Tierney. I'm from Ireland originally. I'm living in Thailand. I'm married. I've got a young family here. I've been out here 19 years. As a young child, I suffered a trauma event, and I blame myself. I thought I must have caused it. I must have caused that person to come to me. And I suffered a loss of innocence. And the problem with that was I was just a child, but I was blaming myself for what happened. I really believed I was at fault. I must have caused it. And this led me to not that I wanted to die, but I didn't want to live. Such shame and self-loathing. And that was like I think there's a term in ACOA they say called the adult child. And I think from that age of 12 until probably 40, I was an adult child. I never grew mentally and emotionally forward as I grew up. I kept staying in that state of being a 12-year-old child. And every situation I came into, every time I met somebody, I'd react like that 12-year-old child being threatened. So I couldn't have relations with anybody. They were always confrontational. I was always angry. I was always pushing people away. It wasn't a healthy place at all to be as a child or as an adult child in an adult world. It was quite insane. And I ruined so many opportunities for myself growing up. But I had this mentor who was very fond of, and he said to me one time, Rich, it's about time you let go of this. And I was shocked. I was really hurt that someone could suggest I could let go of my pain and hurt and they not know this is who I am, you know. But I wanted to kind of maintain a relationship with this man. So I said I'd really look at what he meant by letting go of it. And I really spent a long time on this for about 6 months, really racking my brain what he could mean by letting go of the past. I mean, how could I let go of the past? And I realized, I listened to a priest one day, a Jesuit priest where I live, and he spoke about the fact that we only exist in this day, in these 24 hours. Even yesterday we can't change, or last week we can't change. How do you think you can change something from your past? And that was a shock to the system. But I realized I am a 12-year-old child from 50 years ago who suffered a trauma event. I'm a 50-year-old man carrying the memory of what happened to that 12-year-old child. And I'm also carrying sympathy pains for him. But sympathy pains for him doesn't mean I suffered it. It means I carry the details of what happened to him, but they're not my details. My details are what's in my day to day. So I'm married. I've got 2 children. I'm here with you. Mufafo.
It's all right.
Okay, sorry. I was wanting to get it right every time.
Oh,
yeah. So
no stress at all. No stress at all.
So I found that if my life is here with my wife and my children and my work, I can't be focusing my attention on what happened to a child 50 years ago. That's just insane, you know. And they all say about, you know, let the dead bury the dead. You know, it's not my job to bring the past into the present and give life to the past. And if I do give life to the past, it means I'm honoring the abuser. I'm honoring the abuse. I'm not doing anything for my younger self, but I'm giving life to his abuse. I'm letting him play over and over again. I'm not giving his abuse to victims. And that really struck a chord with me, you know. I was volunteering to be a victim for his abuser. And that's just never happened. You know, that person had a victim at the age of 12, 50 years ago. And here I am at 63, allowing him to intrude upon my life today, letting him into my life, letting him ruin and destroy my life in the present. That's just completely wrong. So that gave me a desire to find some way of giving the past back to my younger self. And so I looked up every spiritual religion, every religion I could think of that would have some solution to how I could give the past back in a safe way. And reading up everything, the only one that came back to me was the religion of my childhood and the promise of miracles. We need a miracle to heal the hole in our soul. I was walking around with this hole in my soul, and people couldn't see the whole of my soul, but they could see how it manifested in my thinking and my feeling, my behavior and my actions, but they couldn't see the whole eating away because the whole of my soul. The only thing I needed a spiritual solution to heal the whole of my soul. It's made sense. This pain I had was deep down inside me. It was eating away at me. This past trauma memory, eating away at me from the inside out. On the outside, I looked normal and happy, but inside, every moment of my day would be eating away at me. So having a good day on the outside, it'd be eating away at me on the inside. For having a bad day on the outside, it's eating away at me on the inside. It was always eating away at me, and I couldn't do anything with it because it wasn't belonging in the present. I had brought the past into the present, and because it couldn't be processed. Now, I worked with two therapists at the time, in my early 20s, two of the most wonderful, caring, empathetic therapists. Great respect for them, but they were out of their depth. They couldn't help me heal a pain that wasn't mine. I would try to explain what it was and describe it. It's like I'm talking about what happened to Mafafo. It's like I'm saying, when Mafafo broke his leg, oh, it's terrible, it hurts really bad, but people saying, but Mafafo broke his leg, not you. You like that kind of sensation of, I'm talking about someone else's pain and trying to make out it's mine when it wasn't mine in the first place. So I was put on medication and I was put through a lot of therapies, and I realized if I didn't stop this myself, I'd be in therapy for life and I'd be on medication for life and there'd be no change because I can't heal the pain of another person. No matter how much I care for that person, even if they're my younger self, I can't heal their pain. I can only deal with what's in front of me these 16 hours. I have 8 hours work and 8 hours play. And then if I give myself to God, he takes the 8 hours of sleep. So I can get a piece of that sleep, and tomorrow I wake up as a new creation, start my life over. But if I'm bringing the last 50 years into the present and the way of the next 20 years into the present, I can't be present. I'm so back and torn between a tug of war between the past and the present and the future. I can't really be present. So I wanted to find some way just to give the past back to my younger self. And I came up with this program called Trauma Recovery Anonymous. And because of my trauma, I ended up becoming addicted to alcohol and gambling and other behavior. So I ended up finding the 12-step program of AA. And that was a revelation to find this 12-step program that helped millions of people stop drinking and recover their lives. And I thought if we could just in some way manipulate that to trauma, it would be fantastic because it worked for so many millions of people who had alcohol, drugs, gambling, sex, food, sugar, whatever addictions they had, they were able to stop. If we could treat the trauma like an addiction, that would be so much easier. So I did a search and I saw a number of programs tried to use the 12-step program, and they just replaced the word alcohol with trauma. So they have it said powers over trauma as the way, but it didn't work because in AA they're looking at abstaining from a behavior that's always with us. But with the trauma, we have to give the trauma back to our younger self. And when it goes, it's no longer with us. So we can't go back and revisit it. So the idea was if we can find some way of, and it involved your imagination and your visualization, but and a lot of holistic practices and the idea of claiming a miracle. So you're taking this and you're giving it back to your younger self. And you see your younger self saying, what took you so long, Richie? I've been waiting for 50 years for you to give me my shit back. Please give it to me now. You have this kind of visualization conversation with your younger self where he says, give me back my crap. I want to step into the light and I can't go until I have all my baggage, and you're holding onto my baggage, blocks me from going. So you have this two-way conversation, and it really feels like you're having this conversation with your younger self. It's really cool. So in the middle of the process, we do this where you feel you're giving it, and when you do release it from your body, you feel this weight fall off your shoulders. It's one when you see a client's face and they're bowed down and they're like really depressed and despair and all that, and then you see them just kind of the shoulders lifting up and a smile coming on their face and they're opening back, and it's like they're giving it to the younger self. The younger self takes it out of this plane of existence, steps into the light, and the details are gone. Now they'll always have the memory. So I have the memory still of what happened to my younger self. But I don't have the details. I can't remember if it was a sunny day or it was a cold day, or if there's what the perspiration was on the child's brow, or if he cried at first, if he cried later. The details I don't have anymore. But I do remember that 12-year-old child suffered trauma. But that's as far as it touches me. So it doesn't touch me anymore. So when my therapist says to me, how does that make you feel? It's like saying, how does Mafafo breaking his leg make you feel? I'm sorry for Mafafo, but it doesn't affect my life. So you get a stage where you're able to separate from the event, by giving it to your younger self. And it has to be the person with the trauma to give it away. No one can fix or save you. They can do all the medication and therapy and talking, but unless we make the decision to give it away and release it from ourselves, and we can't just pretend it didn't happen and bury our heads in the sand, because many people have tried that and it just doesn't work. We have to actually have an experience where we're actually taking this bundle from the hole in our soul and giving it to our younger self. And the younger self takes it from us and says, thank you very much. I'm going to leave this plane of existence and you can go off and have your life. And when we feel that release from our body, it sounds, to anyone who doesn't have trauma, it sounds really airy-fairy and arty-farty, but it does work, because we've suffered with so much trauma all our lives, and we're so controlled by an imaginal thing that isn't there. It's eating away at us. That talking about giving away in an imaginary way makes wonderful sense, because we try to give the therapist. God knows, I had one poor client who worked with 20 different therapists. And you imagine, you would think somewhere at therapist 3, 4, 5, they would say, we can't help you. But they just kept passing them on to the next therapist. Like, if 3 therapists can't help you, they can't help you. They're all trained in the same field, the same qualifications. And if the first 3 can't help you, going to 17 more therapists aren't going to help. It's going to make it worse for you, you know. And nothing against mental health professionals, because they're fantastic and they're trained in their fields. But no one's equipped to deal with the past and the present. Therapists, when I worked with therapists afterwards, I got them to teach me boundaries and how to set boundaries with the family and hold healthy boundaries, be more of an mutual adults. And they were fantastic for all that. They could teach me mental skills that improved me immensely. But they were out of the depth when it came to dealing with a past trauma memory. And I'm out of my depth thinking I can bring it into a conversation and have someone help me with it.
I'm sorry to cut you off there, Richard.
Yeah, I'm glad you did.
No. I mean, it's interesting. I guess you have a lot of what I had written down to ask you answering naturally already. So that's why I've been quiet the whole time. But it's interesting because you mentioned the guilt and the trauma, particularly for our younger selves. What I've noticed with trauma is the reason sometimes why we hang on into the past is because we feel that it's unfair that an aspect of ourselves had to go through this. If you understand, it's almost as if I don't know if I'm wording it correctly, but we have so much empathy and I guess you could say sadness that this version of yourself had to endure it. Why should this version of yourself today live without that? You know, it's almost like an imbalance in how the universe offers things. And it's interesting because a lot of people, they call it survivor's guilt. But not for another person.
It's a great observation. We feel as though because they weren't protected back then, we have an obligation to carry their pain or to fight their battles for them in the present. Everyone, I certainly had that experience, and anyone I spoke to before had the exact same feeling that they were obligated to carry this for the younger self because they weren't protected back then. They wouldn't let them know that if we had been there, we would protect you. You know, that there's a lot of inner child work where there's a visualization where you go back into the past and you hold the hand of your inner child and say, I'm with you now, I keep you safe. But the problem with this is, and I say this, I don't mean to be condescending or offensive to anybody, because I was there, I know exactly what this is like. But if we take it from our younger selves' side, they never asked us to fight the battles for them. They suffered, endured, and survived that event. So we'd be free today to have a life beyond the wildest dreams. They never asked, wanted, or needed us to fight the battles for them. You know, and they fought those battles and they came through it. And here we are now suffering it. They came through it. A 12-year-old child managed to come through that trauma, and me at 50 years of age is suffering it. If they manage to survive at 12, then they're the ones who can manage it. I can't manage it at 12. It doesn't happen to me. I have no way of getting closure on something that didn't happen to me. But that 12-year-old child, he suffered it, he survived it. And then he sacrificed so I'd be free today. And for me to give life to him in the present isn't honoring him. Me saying I want to hold his hand or process his pain for him. He's saying, let go for you. I don't need your help to process it. I processed it already. Leave me go. I want to leave this plane of existence where the pain hurt was and step into the light in heaven where there's no pain. Like be with our ancestors and run with the sheep and fucking frolic across the mountains and be free of all this pain. I don't want anywhere near it, so let me go. So it's not about our perception of what we should be doing. We have to try and look through the eyes of our younger self and see they don't want us suffering the pain as well. They don't want us to be a victim as well. They don't want us to fight their battles for them because they fought them. They came through it, you know, they fought and they came through. So it's really coming at it from a completely different everything in therapy says you're obligated to defend your inner child, protect your inner child, and show your love for your inner child, and show that you care about your inner child and you're not abandoning them. And that just prolongs the PTSD or depression or whatever diagnosis you have. But if we can honestly say, my youngest child, inner child, my 12-year-old inner self, he suffered it, endured, and survived it. And he got away from it. He's past it, and he's put it to bed. I have no right to give it life in the future when he's put it to bed. He suffered, endured, and survived it, so he'd be free of it. So all his future aspects, the 18-year-old me, the 20-year-old me, the 30-year-old me, would all be free of it. It's not fair for me at 50 years of age to give life to it. It's like, excuse me, it's like, imagine, what age are you now, can I ask you?
28.
Okay, imagine you're 28 years of age and you're having terrible trouble in your life right now, just horrible troubles, but you're getting through them. And then just close your eyes for one moment and just imagine in 20 years' time, you can see an older version of you, 48 years of age, going into the attic of his mind, putting out his chest, opening it up and taking out this big cloak. And the cloak is all your pains and challenges of you today. And he puts it on his shoulder. He ignores his life at 48 years of age. And he walks around telling everybody, what happened to my Fafo happened to me. What would you say to him?
Let it go.
Let it go. That's my crap. Deal with your own stuff. That's mine. I've dealt with it. Give it back to me. The fact that I think if I'm 63 years of age now, if a 70-year-old man of me started taking my pain up today and started using it in the future, I'd say, enjoy it. I sacrificed so much, you'd be free in 10 years' time. Go off and have a great life. Enjoy retirement and golfing and fishing and your grandchildren. And please give me back my crown. I dealt with it. It was mine. Let it back. We come in from the wrong angle. We have this idea that we have an obligation to step back into the past and deal with the troubles of the past. But it's the wrong assumption we make. The younger selves of us don't want us to step back. They want us to stay in the present. Well, sorry, I see you have a question there.
No worries. So, and it's interesting that you bring up the way therapy works today. Do you feel that because of how kind of out there metaphysical concepts seem, that our medical system today doesn't incorporate it into their therapy simply because people can't perceive things outside, like you said, practically you can't perceive outside space-time unless you use your imagination, obviously. So do you think that our therapy today needs to incorporate more transcendental concepts in order for it to effectively treat a lot of the mental illnesses that people are facing today, other than just pumping them in with things like lithium, or I don't know what they give you when you have depression. I don't know, the different medications and everything.
I think there's two fields. One is mental illness and one is mental disorders. And mental disorders, as far as my understanding is, that mental disorders got to do with things that happened in the past. Mental illness is what's happening during the day. So all the mental health professionals we have out there, they're all fully qualified to give you a solution for mental illness, medication, therapy, whatever. If you have mental illness today, in the day, they can help you profoundly to deal with that. But we're all out of our depth if we're looking at treating the past and the present, not just the mental professionals, but also you and I. If I'm looking at trying to deal something with my 12-year-old child 50 years ago in the present, I am self-sabotaging. And I can't talk about what happened to that 12-year-old child because it didn't happen to me. So I can't convey someone else's story through my understanding of it. That wouldn't be correct. That'd be like me telling everybody how Mafafo feels today, or you telling everybody how Richard feels today. You don't know me and I don't know you really. So we can't tell each other's story. You can only tell your story. Your story is in these 16 hours. But again, some people haven't found the God aspect, so they have 24 hours where they can't sleep at night and their minds are going crazy. But if you can find a concept of God and give him your the whole day, at the end they say, okay, I had a crappy day, Lord. I had some good things, but a lot of bad things. Take it all from me and give me 8 hours sleep. Then you can sleep peacefully and you only do with the 18 hours, the 16 hours, which are 8 hours work, 8 hours play. And if you can bring your life down to 16 hours a day, it's like, it's meant to be. We can have an abundant life in 16 hours because I can get through 16 hours. I get in the morning, I do my prayer and meditation, I go to the bathroom, have my breakfast, get dressed, leave for work half an hour early. 9 o'clock, I'm in work, it's 3 hours ago. Got 13 hours left. I mean, how easy is that? You know, I do my morning break at 2 hours ago, and suddenly I've got 11 hours left. I go, this is too easy. Before I had 63 years in the past and 20 years in the future, and I only have 11 hours to go. I go get to my lunch, it's 1 o'clock, and I'm going, I've got 10 hours left. So this is the idea behind it. If we can focus on being present in the present and let go of the past and let go of the future, we can have a life. So as to what the mental health profession have done tremendously good for people who have mental illness. I can't doubt them or say bad things about them. My two therapists in Ireland were the most beautiful, kind people. One was an elderly lady and one was a middle-aged man. And they gave me tremendous sense of, I had to set boundaries with my family because I was so messed up. I didn't have any healthy boundaries. And they taught me how to have boundaries, sit in front of my parents and speak and say what I needed to say to them. And they heard me. It was really cool. But they couldn't help me with my past trauma memory. No matter how hard and how empathetic and loving and kind they were, they couldn't help us with the past trauma memory. And I couldn't help myself with the past trauma memory because it wasn't mine. It happened to a young child, whatever your younger version. So for a veteran who's maybe he's 60 years of age, I worked with one veteran who was a Vietnam War veteran. He was 76 years of age at the time. And he was carrying the memory of what happened to the 18-year-old version of him who went off to war and suffered the horrors of war. But he's 76, he's retired, he's got grandchildren, he's living in a different part of the world, and he's carrying what happened to that 18-year-old child. It didn't happen to him. He's 74 years of age, grandfather, grandparent in another country, in a time of peace, out of the army, like in his life where he's in a great place. But if he's bringing the past, what happened 50 years ago, into his present, he's no sleep. You know, the one thing he had was he had God. He believed in God, so he would give it to God, and he get a night's sleep. You know, so that's the idea behind it. We're not meant to live in the past or in the future. You know, the past is history. Tomorrow is a mystery. If we can find some way of getting into the present by giving the past back to our old selves and give the future back to our future selves, then we can just sit in the present. You know.
No, thank you for sharing that. And I'm just going to ask, in terms of the 12-step program, how has it been affecting in helping people? You've already mentioned it briefly, but how specifically have you noticed, or through your observation with clients that you've worked, how has it effectively helped them distance themselves from their traumatic memory? And how does someone apply it daily in their own lives? Is it a daily practice?
Great question.
Practice?
It is a kind of daily practice, but the problem is we need to let go of the past first. That's the crux, the fulcrum. If you let go of the past and give it back to your younger self, then you're able to step forward. But if you're bringing the past with you, you'll never be able to focus in the present because the past comes in. So the first step is that there's two parts to it. One is called the Trauma Recovery Anonymous, Healing Any Past Trauma Memory. And you do that program first where you let go of the past, you give it back to your younger self. And once that happens, then you jump into the 12 steps. The first step is you make a decision that you're never a victim again, ever in your life. No matter what happens, you're never going to be a victim. Even if it's justified, you decide you're not a victim. So, I mean, and it sounds crazy. You're in a situation where you're justified, where someone's beating you up or someone's robbing you or whatever, or someone's listening to you, and you're saying, I'm not a victim. You know, it seems crazy, but we have to get to that place where, because of what happened in the past, I'm not a victim today. I choose not to be a victim today. If it happens, it happens, but I'm not a victim. I'm not going to celebrate it. I'm not going to give it my power. So the first step is I'm not a victim. First. Secondly, I have to look after my side of the street only and nobody else. So I only focus on these 16 hours only. And that's what's happening in Europe or in America or anywhere else. I just focus on my 16 hours, which is my wife, my children, our dogs, my job, my therapy. And this is all I have in my day, and my health and wellness, just these 16 hours. That's the first step. The second step to know is that we're never alone. Second step talks about higher powers. And the higher powers are of this earth. So my higher powers are your podcasts, therapy, books, video, audio, meeting people, talking to people, even talking to a stranger, having a bad day and say, listen, can I just talk to you for 10 minutes and they can walk away, but I need to get it out and talk to a stranger or a priest or a pastor or a minister or a rabbi. Find someone you can talk to. Fitness is a higher power. Going to the gym is a higher power. Walking your dogs. You're surrounded by higher powers. You're never alone. So it's something you can do. And then when it comes to the God thing, Jesus walked the earth, so Jesus is the higher power. You know? And if you accept the idea of Jesus, well then Jesus died for your sins. Your sins are forgiven. So you can forgive yourself for everything in the past, including abandoning your inner child, if you feel that you're doing, that is forgiven by Jesus. By saying, I believe in Jesus, that means your sins are forgiven. So that gives you great sense, you know. And then in the Bible, in Revelations, Jesus says that I'm leaving with the Holy Spirit, which is the power of Christ in you. So today, my name is Richard. I am Richard the Christ. You know, you're Mufafo the Christ. Mary is Mary the Christ. Joan is Joan the Christ. If we can see ourselves as being the Christ and see Christ in the other person, we're not going to pick fights with people. We're not going to be conflict or, you know, we're going to respect people's boundaries and let them have their life because they are the Christ. And we are the Christ. And if we can, the whole world can see each other as the Christ, we'll have seen the second coming of Christ already. And that's the second step. And then the third step is understanding. And this is the one that's very challenging. But once you let go of the past trauma, this makes so much sense. You decide there's no such thing as evil in the world. There's no such thing as Satan. And God is the source of everything, of all your good and all your bad. So all your challenges, God's the source of. And there's books in the Bible of like the book of Job. I don't know if you've ever read the book of Job. And reading about Paul. But there are two characters who suffered horribly in the Bible. And but God's thing was, out of this hardship, they became great. Job suffered, he lost, his wife died, his children died, he lost all his money, he's a multimillionaire and he lost everything. But he stayed true, and at the end of it, he got everything back multiplied 10 times. Paul was this, he had a thorn inside, I think he was blind or something, where he had this disfigurement. And God said, I'm going to leave you this figurement, it's going to make you stronger. And he went from being a nobody, becoming the most famous disciple, bigger than John, bigger than Peter. And he never met Jesus, but he wrote books in the Bible that blew everybody else away. He just achieved so much more coming from nowhere. And he suffered hardships for God to make him the man he wanted him to be. So all the hardships I've had, all the hardships you've had, God has molded us so that here's the day. So I suffered a trauma at the age of 12. Since then, I had some other issues, been bullied and been teased and beaten up and all kinds of stuff. But all of it led me to here, where now I've created a program to help people heal from trauma and to find God, all in one. So God molded me to suffer this. That's the first 3 steps, the foundation step. One is, we're never a victim again. It's our job only to keep our side of the street on. We're never alone. There's always somebody around, some higher power you can touch on to. And that God is the source of everything good and bad. And if you can embrace those 3, the rest is quite simple, you know. So they're the first 3. Then the next few are 4 to 9. The 4 to 9 is just cleaning your side of the street. You realize you've suffered with PTSD or depression or whatever your condition was for so many years. Your behavior has been really screwy. You've been screwy towards people and confrontation. You have to clean your side of the street. So you make a decision to choose the main people in your life. So it would be your parents if they're alive, your partner, your siblings, your children, and that's it. No more than that. Just your main people. And you decide to make amends and restitution to them for the rest of your life. Don't worry about people back in your childhood or whatever. You're focusing on those 5 people, 6 people, 5. And average is 5. You can see your parents as one person, you know. You can see your wife and children as one person. Then you have your siblings as one person. Then maybe you have your boss as one person. So that you can do your 5 that way. Or if it's just 5 people, you choose the 5 people. But you have a target of 5 that you're targeting, and that's it. Now forget the people back in your school days or in your childhood or old friends. Let them be. Just focus on the people that matter to make amends and restitution to them. And that's what you do for the rest of your life. And then the 10, 11, 12 is a case of try to carry this message to everybody you meet. Try to be someone who's not a victim and help people find this path and be a higher power to other people and try and introduce them to your understanding of God that might help them with their understanding of God and just carry that message. And prayer and meditation is huge. And the idea with the prayer and meditation, there's a wonderful prayer called dream prayer. Have you ever heard of this? No, it's wonderful. So what you do is, I love this. I use it all the time. You can use it anywhere. It's like manifestation. God gave us free will in the book of instructions on how to use it properly. And if we only read the Bible and read it properly, we'd understand how we can manifest anything. And part of it is dream prayer. So what you do is, when you're going to bed tonight, there's a gentle smile on your lips. You've got a great smile, so you're laughing. You're so far ahead of the boss, it's great. So you put a gentle smile on your lips, and you dream the most wonderful dream. Whatever you want to happen in your life, you dream it. Imagine you're meeting the beautiful girl and getting married, or you're winning the lottery. You dream the most wonderful dream, and you use all your senses and your thoughts and your feelings, and you make it as real as possible, okay? And you fall asleep in that dream. And then you dream that dream 10 times a day, 20 times a day, every day. You keep making it more real like it's happened already. And you go back to bed the next night, you do the same thing again. And you keep you keep investing in this dream. And it may change and evolve, but the main center point of it is you keep honest. This is my dream. This has happened already. God has given this to me, and I love it. And you keep dreaming it as though it's happened already. And then what happens is, so maybe it's an interview you have, or it's public speaking, and you're nervous, and you see yourself doing the public speaking, getting a standing ovation in 3 weeks' time. And you keep doing it in 3 weeks' time. You go for your public speaking event. You walk up the stage. There's no fear. You nail it, and people give you a standing ovation. You're kind of going, saw that. I mean, I dreamt that already. So what you do is you dream the future as though it's happened in the past. And it's the most powerful prayer you can do. You're telling God, this is what I want. It's happened already. And God says, oh, it's happened already. I'll give it to you. So you have to show you're committed to it as well as for him to be committed to it. So you dream it. So if you have your PTSD, you're dreaming that the PTSD is gone. You're over the PTSD, and your life is, you're now a normal, boring human being. That's all you want to be, with peace of mind every day. And you see this in your dream. Yeah, just keep repeating this, and then we keep manifesting this, and God will say, oh, okay, that's what happened already. We'll make it so. One day you wake up, the PTSD is gone, you feel like $1 million, and you feel like you're a normal, boring human being.
No, Richard, thank you so much for sharing that with the sincerity and honesty that you have. It's really uplifting. It truly is. And I was going to ask, in terms of people reaching out to you, obviously you're based in Thailand, time zone difference, all sorts of things. There are kind of few implications there, but do you work with people outside of Thailand? And how can people reach out to you if they're interested in?
Just my email address, richard@traumarecoveryanonymous.com. Send me an email, and I can set up a Zoom meeting for us to go. I think I can take one person, or I can take 10 people. So if there's 1 or 2 people want to come together, this is a whole new concept. And for one person, it can be very frightening to take a chance on a nobody, to try something completely different. So if 1 or 2 people want to come together and do a session together, I can do a session for 1 or 2 people together. A session takes approximately 3 hours. I charge €150 for a session. So if there's 5 people, it's €30 each. And basically, if it's 5 or more, it's €30 each. So if it's 5 people or 10 people, it's €30 each. And then if it's less than that, if it's 4 people, it's €40 each. If it's 3 people, it's €50 each. And if it's 2 people, it's 75, and so on, and 150 for one. And again, if you want to do it, but you want to have someone there as support, you can do the session, have someone sit in the background, just as a kind of a support for you. This is a whole new concept. And for a lot of people with PTSD or depression, they've had this condition for weeks, months, years, with the belief that it can never be healed. And for some fellows come along and say, I can heal you, or I can teach you to heal yourself in 3 hours. It's a bit kind of challenging to swallow at one go. But I promise you, if you do this event, you'll break free of your past trauma memory in 3 hours. And then you can undo the damage and carnage of the PTSD. We can't treat the PTSD because it's not a fixed state of being. It's a state of mind. When you have PTSD, you can be in your moods or in your mental thinking. There's no way of pouring the whole aspect together, because you could be feeling good one day, feeling bad the next day. You could be angry one day, the next day. There's no way of managing that. But if I refocus on your past trauma memory, you know exactly what happened. You have all the details there in front of you, and we can get rid of that. And once that's gone, the cause is gone. And like when the cause is gone, there's no longer any need for the effect. It's all cause and effect. If you treat the effect only, the cause will never go. You treat the cause, there's no longer any reason to have the effect. I hope that makes sense to you.
No, it does. Richard, it's been an absolute honor to have you on the show, and also for you willingly sharing the adversity you've had to overcome to really be free. Trauma is, we're all victims of it in this, not victims, wrong word. We're all recipients. There we go. We're all recipients of it in this life. There's no one who's really exempt. It's, as you mentioned, it's the people that face it that are ultimately free. And so I think that message, hopefully it resonates with those of you that are tuning in. It's really important because once you're a slave to your past, it's tough. Life can really, like you said, the gifts that the Creator has given you can easily be destroyed simply because you're not present in the moment anymore. And that's actually funny enough that you mentioned it, but that's been one of my recent revelations. Like, wow, time waits for no one. And, if you're caught up in the past, you really missed out on the gift of the present. And I think that's more traumatic than anything, is losing sight of what you've been given, despite what you've lost. So thank you so much for coming, Richard. It's again, I'll make sure I do my best to promote the podcast and also your program. And again, those of you tuning in, always reach out. I know we like to pretend that there's nothing available to help us, but unfortunately, that's just not the truth. There's always someone or something that is just waiting to open the next chapter for your life. So I don't know if there's anything. Oh, I did have one more question. What are your words of wisdom advice? What are your words and wisdom of advice for those tuning in today?
But it's basically probably just the first three steps of the program. You're never alone. Like Mufafa said, you're never alone. There's Mufafa here sets up a podcast. How cool is that? He sets a podcast that we get to speak about how to heal from trauma. Now, that didn't happen by chance, but Mufafa puts this program up, puts it on YouTube. He could be reaching 1.4 billion people tomorrow diagnosed with PTSD. Like nothing happens by chance. If you're listening to this podcast, you've been put here for a reason. You know, that God wants you to have your life better. God doesn't make mistakes. He's never made a mistake in his life, and you're not a mistake, and I'm not a mistake. He wants us to live abundantly in the present. And to do that, we have to let go of the past, let go of the future. You're never alone. We're not victims. If we can find some way to understand that we're not a victim ever, no matter what happens, and we're never alone, we're halfway there. And then if you can just, what I'd like to say, ask people is give God a second chance. We all want a second chance at life. Just give them, I'm not talking about religion now or churches or denominations. If you never go to church in your life, you never join a religion or denomination, which I haven't joined. I left my church, my upbringing as a Roman Catholic. I tried the Protestant faith, I tried the Baptist, I tried the Presbyterian. It didn't work for me. I have a relationship one-on-one with God and between myself and himself. There's no church, no religion, no denomination. Give God a second chance. Just invite him into your life. Try tonight, going to bed, say, God, this is my day today. It was utterly crap. I wanted to kill me, whatever it was. I wanted to blow up. I wanted to hurt somebody. Take it from me for 8 hours. Give me 8 hours sleep. Just try that. Put your head in the pillow. Tomorrow morning, decide whether it happened, it worked or not for you. Because if you ask him, he'll help you. He's only waiting for you to ask him. He won't jump in unless you ask him. That's the free will he gave us in the book of instructions. Unless we read the instructions and learn how to use our free will properly, we're just destroying ourselves, you know. We have to change our thinking into saying, God, I've had a crap day today. Take the peace off me and give me peaceful sleep. And then put your head down. Look at this morning realizing, I've had no nightmares, I've no flashbacks. I've had a peaceful night's sleep. I'm going to do this again tomorrow night, you know, that kind of stuff. And I do it all day long. I do it when I'm driving the car. I do it out from walking the dogs and having my lunch and with my wife and children. I just keep saying, God, give me peace for the next 10 minutes, the next half an hour. You get into a frame of mind where you'll just ask for 10 minutes or 5 minutes or 3 minutes or half an hour, and he'll give it to you. All you need to do is ask. It says in the Bible, ask and you shall receive. This means you ask. Seek and you shall find. That means you actually do the work that's involved to achieve that. And then knock is embrace the new life. So ask and you shall receive. Seek and you shall find. Knock and the door should be open unto you. So there's a three part. First you ask it. You head down the pillow and you embrace that. You seek this peaceful sleep with a smile on your face. And right in the morning you realize, I'm going to do this again. And that's the knocking. So the instructions are there for us to follow. All we need to do is open our eyes and follow them, and we have a life beyond our wildest dreams. Mufafa, I have to say thank you for such a tremendous, you made me feel so relaxed and comfortable. You've got a wonderful air about you. I hope you go on to great and glorious things with this podcast, because you really have a nice way of welcoming a person and making a person feel safe and contented. And I was able to share with you in a very comfortable way. So, Mufafa, thank you very much. And to all of you out there, if you would like to try this, give me a shout. I'd love to work with you.
Thank you so much, Richard. God bless. Thank you. And again, the contacts and links will be in the video and in the video link below in the description as well. And again, please reach out. That's what this podcast is for. And again, Richard, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you, Mufafa. Thank you very much.